Welcome back to the Double Leg. I'm one half of the show, HI Picks. The other half of the show, the Parlay, joining me in to break down some Dana White Contender Series Season 7, Episode 3. All right, so it's week 3 of the Contender Series, and through 2 weeks, every single winner has gotten a UFC contract. So looking like this week, they're looking to continue the trend. And we got 5 fights, as always, headlined by some undefeated prospects in the middleweight division. We're going to go through and give you our picks for these fights, but as always, they're not always the bets. Sometimes the value side is the side that we actually bet on. If you want to get those bets, you can join the Double Leg Premium to be a part of the Double Leg Premium, or you can wait until they're available for free on Tuesday. They're usually up Tuesday morning for instant download for free. Through 2 weeks, I believe I'm up 1.25 units or somewhere around there. Last week, nearly swept, but George Hardwick laid an egg. We had a couple parlays with Hardwick being the last leg, and Hardwick took the L. Otherwise, we would have swept. Either way, went up 1.23 units there, and hopefully stay in the right direction there. What are you thinking about this card?
Yeah, some interesting fights. It was hard to find a ton of tape on some of these fighters, but, I mean, you look at the records. We got some good records on here. I think we've got 4 and 5 undefeated fighters total out of 5 fights. So an undefeated fighter in damn near every fight. Should be interesting. Maybe we'll get a good prospect off this card. We'll have to see.
Yep, and I'm looking forward to it. Always good to have some fights on Tuesday. Let's get it started with the main event, the middleweight featured bout. Eli Aronov sitting at minus 102 against Zachary Reese, who sits at minus 128. Both men undefeated. The Israeli Eli Aronov sits at 27 years of age, 29 years old for Zachary Reese. You can see the height difference there. Zachary Reese, pretty big dude, 6'3", 5'10" for Eli Aronov, he is built, absolutely built. The guy is a brick house. And if you look at their records, if we go through Zachary Reese's, I don't want to say he's been fighting trash cans, but I mean, he's been knocking dudes out or submitting them in the first round of every fight. I mean, all 5 of his wins come in the first round. A lot of them coming under a minute. So he's getting dudes out of there early. If you look at Eli Aronov, he's getting dudes out of there as well, but he's also got 2 decision wins. He's got a fight in Bellator. He went to decision there. I mean, just the way that they fight, I'm interested to see how they clash in this one because both guys are undefeated. Both guys have never been finished. If Zachary Reese can't get him out of there in the first round, how does he fare moving forward? We've seen Aronov in round 2 and round 3. He's finished dudes in round 2. So, I mean, Reese looks like he's got some really good finishing ability. Is he going to be able to finish him early in this one? What are you thinking?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question because, like you said, he's all of his 5 fights by the first round finish, and I think like 2 or 3 of those came super early in some of the fights. Like he doesn't have a ton of octagon time. I think this is going to be your classic striker with Zachary Reese versus your grappler in Eli. And if Zachary Reese can't get it done in the first round, we really don't know what he's going to look like going past that point. Obviously, he's got power. He's got a couple submissions on his record as well. But Aronov is a pretty good wrestler. If you watch his tape, he does a lot of grappling matches as well. He's got a lot of submissions on his record. The one thing, though, early in fights when guys do try to wrestle Zachary Reese, even though they're probably cans, like we haven't really seen him fight any high-level guys, he does have pretty good takedown defense, and he's able to, kind of keep things on the feet. If he does that here, I think he's just going to try to tee off in that first round. So I'm going to go with Zachary Reese for my pick. But if this thing goes past 1, it's a total, look at the live line and just see what it is. Because with a wrestler versus a guy who's never been out of the first round, sometimes you can get that wrestler to start doing his thing, come that second round when the other guy's a little bit tired, get it to the ground, control him, try to look for a sub or finish, and you just never know. But my pick's going to be Zachary Reese. I think he gets it done.
Yeah, these are just tough fights to call because of the unknowns. When you see a guy with 5 first-round finishes, it's like you haven't really seen much of him at all. I mean, he's fighting these dudes. He's got 3 fights on Fury FC, which is like, I mean, it's a known promotion based down in Texas usually. He is from Texas, and I don't want to say that they have like a lot of cans fighting there, but it seems like, there's some favorable matchups for a lot of these guys. If you look at his amateur record, he has a fight against Kevin Holland he lost to back in 2012. But overall, I mean, he looks like a really good athlete overall. And if he can, get Eli out of there early, I think he's got the ability to.
Mm-hmm.
But this just scares me. Like Eli, it seems like a pretty durable dude, and if he goes and he's able to have success with the wrestling, I don't know how Zachary Reese is going to be able to hold up with that. But like we'll always say on the Contender Series, you favor a guy that could has good finishing ability. That's kind of what the Contender Series is about. So I do think Zachary Reese is a solid enough guy to be a favorite here. It's not too chalky. So I'll take it for the pick. But, as you said, as the fight goes on, you got to keep an eye on it and, read some body language maybe. But if it goes further, Aronov's definitely going to have the more experience as it goes on.
For sure.
Looking forward to this one. A welterweight fight. Elliott sits at plus 130 against Brito, who sits at minus 160. Brito 16-4, so he's got a lot of experience. 20 professional fights at 26 years of age. 5'11" for him, 6 feet for Elliott. And Elliott's 8-2, 4-1 in his last 5 from Wales. Brito is Brazilian, 3-2 in his last 5 for him. Both men fairly young, 25 and 26. If you look at Brito's record, he's been fighting over in Octagon his past 4 fights, which is a pretty known promotion as well over towards the Czech Republic area over in that part of the world. And if you look at his last fight, I watched his last fight today, and that was like a beatdown. I don't know if you watched that one, but he was knocking down this guy, David Cosmo. He probably knocked him down like 5 or 6 times, and this ref just would not step in. And it looked like he might be starting to gas, but he just kept knocking him down. Cosmo kept getting back up. He looked for some submissions. Brito would get out of it and ultimately finished him in the 3rd round. I mean, he's been fighting some pretty solid guys. Like you're looking at guys like his last guy that he beat was 30-11. A lot of experience there. 9-2, 12-1, 12-3, 16-2, 17-6. A loss to Mateusz Rebecki, who's in the UFC at 9-1. Like he's fighting some pretty solid level of competition. And then you look at Elliott. He's been fighting in Cage Warriors. I am forever fading Cage Warriors fighters, especially out of the Contender Series this year. Like after seeing George Hardwick go in there as like a minus 400, minus 500 favorite and just look terrible. I've seen it time and time again. Like these guys from Cage Warriors, they just don't do well. They just don't. Like you go into the UFC or even on the Contender Series, they just don't look anything like they did in Cage Warriors. I don't know if that's just the level of competition, but especially looking at the level of competition that Brito's been fighting, I feel pretty confident that he's going to win against Elliott here. Watching the tape, I didn't see anything special. Like he's going to his last 3 fights have gone to decision. Brito's got a lot more finishing ability. So I like him to get it done here. What are you thinking?
Yeah, you hit it. I mean, you hit it right on the head. That's exactly how I'm feeling, especially with Elliott being in Cage Warriors. I mean, this is just kind of a joke, but fade the Cage Warriors, guys. If you watched last week's episode with, I don't even know if you call it episode, but fights with George Hardwick, Cage Warriors guy came in, all this hype, and didn't look good. Now, Elliott doesn't have that hype, but if you watch his fights, he is going to try to take things to the ground. He's going to be the wrestler out of the 2, and that's his only path to victory, in my opinion. Brito's a striker. The dude's got a ton of experience. He's got a lot of power, and you look at Elliott's record, his only 2 professional losses come by knockout. Brito's got 13 knockouts of his 16 wins. And he showed the ability to get up once he's taken down too. Brito has. I like that. Even if, like you said, if you watch his last fight, he gets a round 3 knockout. Obviously, he's got power late in the fight, It could go late in the fight, this one, if he can't defend the takedowns every single time. Maybe Elliott extends this thing. But at the end of the day, I got to go with the explosive striker in Brito, who finds a ton of knockouts and TKO finishes against a guy who has been knocked out twice in his short professional career. So, yeah, give me Brito, especially at minus 160. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like it. And if you look at Elliott's record, he's got a loss to Michael Figlak back in 2020. Figlak came into the UFC last year around this time, and he had made his debut. He was like the Cage Warriors champion, came in, made his debut against Faraziem. He was a favorite against Faraziem, and he looked awful, like just straight up awful. And I see that loss to Figlak. I know MMA math doesn't always work, but like, bro, Brito, I think, should win this fight for sure. The experience, more explosive, and just overall finishing ability, all on his side. A strawweight bout here. Isis Verbeek coming in at plus 210 against Josephine Knuttson, sitting at minus 260. Knuttson undefeated, 5-0. Verbeek 4-1. She's gotten a variety of experience within the combat sports. She's got some exhibition boxing. She got some MMA bare knuckles. She's got some shoot boxing. She's got some kickboxing. She's got all the different types of boxings. So, I mean, it's not just the 4-1 professional MMA record. She's got other stuff under her belt. 28 years of age for her. If you look at Josephine Knuttson, she's got some kickboxing experience as well, and then obviously the undefeated record there. She's coming in here as a pretty sizable favorite. We don't always love women's chalk, but do you think she gets it done here?
Yeah, no, I do think Josephine gets this thing done. This is like a fight on Contender Series. We're going to see striker versus striker. I feel like we don't get that too often. It's usually grappler versus striker. But I mean, women's MMA. I mean, both girls have kickboxing and Muay Thai backgrounds. Both have a lot of decisions on their record. These girls aren't holding the most power in their hands. If you watch Verbeek, the one thing I was talking to you about before the show is she doesn't have the best head movement. Like, she will get touched up in some of these fights, and you know, she hangs in there. She's not getting knocked out or anything. But I mean, against a girl like Josephine, I think maybe a tad more Muay Thai and kickboxing experience, I think she's going to be able to cruise to a decision here. I think she gets it done. I don't think either of these girls are going to get the finish. Dana White will probably give the winner the contract, but I'm going to stick with Josephine here. I think she does get it done.
Yeah, I think she should probably get it done. I don't think I'll lay the chalk on her.
No.
But, I mean, yeah, I think this is probably just a greasy women's MMA fight. Two women that are probably elect to strike. Verbeek does have a submission win. You look at Josephine, she doesn't have any submission wins, but she can take you to the ground and she can go there. She trains at All Stars with, that's the Gustafsson, Hamza Chimaev camp out in Sweden. Verbeek trains at Team Biggie Boy. That's what it says on Tapology, which is Jairzinho Rosenstrike's camp. But yeah, just a greasy women's MMA fight. I would elect to not get too invested in this one. Maybe just sit back and watch. But yeah, for the pick, I'm going to go with Josephine Knuttson. I think she gets it done. Featherweight bout here, Luis Pajuelo coming in at minus 100 against Robbie Ring, who sits at minus 130. Ring is undefeated, 23 years of age for him out of the U.S. Pajuelo, 7-1. 4-1 in his last 5, 28 years of age for him. 5'11". For featherweights, 5'11", that's not, not too big, but it is bigger than Robbie Ring. I mean, 5'11" is a solid frame. You look at, the muscle he's got on it. It's pretty solid. Pajuelo out of Peru, and if you looked at like any of the Peruvian fighters as of recently, they're pretty tough dudes. I mean, you look at like a Borjas or even the Rolando Bedoya in the UFC, like these dudes are, if they're strikers, they're pretty tough on the feet. And this is exactly how Pajuelo fights. Like, he's just going to walk you down and throw some hands with you. His only losses by split. He's been fighting on, these kind of smaller promotions down in South America and Chile, all that type. It's tough to find a lot of film on him, but the film that I was able to watch, the guy he's going to walk you down and throw hands. That's what he wants to do. Robbie Ring, on the other hand, seems to be a big jiu-jitsu guy. He's going to want to take the fight to the ground. He's got all wins by finish. He's got some TKOs. very early, 16 seconds, 13 seconds. I think these guys, they're just cans, like just straight up. Like the guys that he's fought on the regional scene are straight cans, other than Jacob Kilburn, who used to be in the UFC. And if you watch that fight, I mean, it was a close first round, and then he catches him with a darce in the second round. Jiu-jitsu area is where he wants this fight to be, I would assume. On the feet, I think he's going to be outmatched. But if he gets into the ground, we'll see how good that jiu-jitsu is. What do you think happens?
Yeah, Pajuelo, you watch him and he's just nonstop pressure in your face. He's going to throw the kitchen sink at you from the bell. And a lot of times guys break on that pace. And even as the fights go on, like you do worry about him getting a little gas, throwing all of that volume. But I don't want to say he fades, because he doesn't fade, but his strikes are still there. They get less powerful. But as the fights go on, this guy is, or sorry, wait, hold on. I had my wrong notes up. He does like basically all first round finishes. Anyways, I started out right. He'll throw the kitchen sink at you. But I was watching one of his fights where he's getting tagged a lot. Like he almost throws caution to a win in a way that's wild, almost a brawling style, and he will get clipped. Obviously, he's tough enough to not get finished so far. He has all wins on his record. But I'm just not, I don't know. It makes me nervous against a guy like Robbie Ring, who is well-rounded, who does have a really slick ground game. If Pajuelo can't get in there and put this guy out, I mean, if he does start to fade a little bit and gives up a takedown, I think Robbie Ring's going to have the advantage on the ground. But like you said, man, Robbie Ring's just fighting these cans. That's all he's been fighting. You got 0-0 in his last fight, 8-6, 1-0, 0-2. I mean, that's just not a good look, and it makes you wonder if he's even ready for this stage. I mean, Pajuelo, if this thing doesn't go past the first round, I'd be willing to put my money it's Pajuelo's getting the win. 7-1, 6 finishes. He does possess a lot of power, and he possesses a lot of volume. And yeah, man, it's an interesting one. For the pick, I'm going to go with Pajuelo. I think he will be hard to deal with for Robbie Ring, who's been fighting nothing but cans. He's not really seen a guy like this so far. And I'm just going to guess that he's probably going to melt under that pressure a little bit. And I'm probably going to take Pajuelo here inside the distance. I just think Robbie Ring a little bit too much too soon.
Yeah, I don't think Robbie Ring's going to be able to hang with him on the feet. And I don't think his wrestling is like that great that he's going to be able to get the fight to the ground with ease. Because you look at the fights that Robbie Ring has had, a lot of his opponents will take him down. It's just like taking him into his realm. His realm is going to be to try to submit you. So Pajuelo, I think he stays on the feet, just pressures him a lot, and I think he breaks down Robbie Ring and probably finishes him in some sort of fashion. If you look, Pajuelo was supposed to fight Tobias Harilla, and then Harilla had the visa issues. So Robbie Ring's the second opponent for him. I think Pajuelo gets it done here. So I got to take him. Flyweight fight here. Felipe Dos Santos coming in at -260 against Luciano Pereira, sitting at +210. And in this one, undefeated Felipe Dos Santos. You're looking at the hair, you're going to see he is from Shoot to Box. He's got the Charles Oliveira themed hair. Fights very similar to him, just like a lot of Shoot to Box fighters do. But he's 22 years of age. 22 years of age for Pereira as well. So a couple of young guys going at it here. 5'7". That's a pretty good frame for flyweight. And then if you look at Pereira, 5'3". So it's going to be a little bit shorter. And for Pereira, I really couldn't find much film at all. But I mean, he's from Uruguay. He's going to be fighting down in the South American scene, the Samurai Fight House type style, Argentina area. He's got 14 professional fights, but I mean, I don't know how many of them really count that much. Like he's just starching dudes from the start as well. Round 1 finish, round 2 finish, submission, knockouts, like all types of stuff. This is like pretty standard for guys that get a shot at the UFC from the South American scene. They usually come in here with like first round finishes because they're fighting kind of cans. There's just not a lot of guys to fight down there. So if you are a standout there, you're going to finish dudes. Felipe Dos Santos, Shoot to Box, as I said. He was fighting on the Brazilian scene as well, and then got a chance in the LFA and got a win by decision there to Hugo Paiva. He was an underdog in that one and got a win. Hugo Paiva is not too bad. I mean, he was 5-0 when he fought him. You watch that fight; it's pretty exciting. The way that Felipe dos Santos fights is like Charles Oliveira. Like that's probably the best way to look at it. He'll mix in the takedowns here and there, but he's just going to pressure forward, throw everything at you, and you're just going to have to deal with it. It's a tough fight style to get behind if he's like minus 260. Do think he probably wins, but I don't know. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think this could be on the feet an absolute barn burner because the little film that you find on Luciano Pereira, he does hit extremely hard. He's not like a technical fighter, but he will come in and throw everything he's got into his shots, and it's paid off. He's got a lot of finishes. He's got a lot of ground and pound finishes. But Felipe dos Santos, with that shoot the box style, he's going to march forward. He's going to take shots, and that's the one thing that makes me nervous for him here is that he is hittable. He does get hit. Just like Charles, just like Elvis Brenner, like these dudes do take punishment, and a guy that hits as hard as Pereira, that's the one thing you got to worry about. But from a technicality standpoint, like Felipe dos Santos is going to be more technical. He's going to throw some flashy stuff. He's going to march you down and make you move backwards. And once he does have you in that situation, he's going to look for the takedown. And if he gets you to the ground, I just feel like he's going to be a lot better than Luciano here. Luciano does have some missions on his record, but not against guys like Felipe dos Santos that are training at shoot the box and have it in their blood. So, yeah, I think Felipe dos Santos should win this fight. If you're playing it and you're on Luciano, I think you got to take it inside the distance. I think that's the only way he wins this fight. But yeah, I'm going to stick with Felipe to get it done. It should be a fun fight, though, when this bell rings. These guys are going to come at each other. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think no doubt. Whoever wins this fight gets a contract because it's going to be exciting. Dos Santos was supposed to face Edgar Chairez before Chairez got pulled in to fight Tatsuro Taira. So this is a second opponent for him. Pereira steps in to fill in. I do think Dos Santos gets the win. Can't go against my guy Charles Oliveira and shoot the box, so I got to take him. But yeah, it's going to be exciting, fun one. Maybe look for an under, or maybe if the under's too juiced because they're seeing it coming, maybe look for an over because Dos Santos, he takes some punishment too. I mean, he's a tough dude. So if he doesn't get Pereira out of there early, it could turn into one of these barn burners, 3-round war type fights. So looking forward to it. But those are the picks for Dana White Contender Series Week 3. We'll be giving out the bets for free, as I stated earlier. You can keep up to date at the Double Leg on Instagram. We'll have those posted there when they are available. They'll be available by instant download on the premium membership link that is in the description. So just stay up to date with that. You can stay up to date with my medias at HI Picks. Where can they find you?
On all social medias at the Parlay MMA.
All right. And we'll be breaking down UFC Singapore coming within the next day or two for this Saturday as well. If you're watching here on YouTube, drop a sub to support the channel. The Double Leg, signing out.